So Warzone's got a lot on its plate right now and a lot of questions that need to be answered by the time the Vanguard integration comes along. But we might actually be seeing our first big tonal shift in Warzone here and how things go about with one large key aspect of the new Warzone Pacific map. Today we're going to examine a little bit of a theory here that I have for that and what may be the upcoming map, but as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys think that this theory is correct? Do you think it's a bit out there? Do you think we'll see business as usual? Whatever the case may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like down below. If you're looking forward to Vanguard's integration, the launch, or the new Warzone map, whatever the case may be, drop a like if you guys are excited. And of course, if you are new to the channel and want to stay to do with all things Warzone, all things Vanguard, we got a lot of stuff coming up here. So if you're new, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. That said, let's jump right into it. So when it comes to the information out there in regards to the integration for Vanguard and Warzone coming up later this year, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that, truth be told, are just not locked down to the point where we just don't know. But we do have a couple of things that, if you look at it objectively, there's definitely some issues at hand here. One of the big ones is weaponry, because right now we're going to be going into Vanguard's integration with 3 games within Modern Warfare and Warzone, assuming they don't separate the application and make it its own standalone thing here. That's 3 games. Right now, out of 2, we have 24 rifles, 22 SMGs, 10 shotguns, 12 LMGs, 6 tactical rifles, 7 marksman rifles, 9 snipers, 12 handguns, 7 launchers, and 15 melees, for a total of 124 weapons from just 2 games. Outside of just the beta right now within Vanguard, we already know that there's 5 rifles, 3 SMGs, 2 shotguns, 3 LMGs, 1 marksman rifle, 2 snipers, 3 handguns, 2 launchers, and 1 melee, with a lot more to be rumored coming at launch here. So when that all gets integrated, plus also then DLC weapons later down the line, that is a lot of weapons that you have within Warzone. And to me, that's one of the largest questions here and largest issues is, of course, coming down to balance. With the integration, you'll also see things that are big questions like, well, how does that destruction and then engine upgrades come into play within Warzone? Will we see some perk changes, because there are existing perks that would then have different criteria, Ghost being a big one with that. And those are all valid topics, but things that I think we should explore when there's a little bit more basis to them. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the thematic disconnect, possibly, for World War II and Vanguard. That's another issue I think potentially here, is that with Warzone and the integration for Vanguard, World War II isn't necessarily a huge selling point for a lot of people right now after seeing the world that Modern Warfare builds out. And Vanguard, hit or miss probably with a lot of people in terms of that setting. Understandably so, though. The project of Vanguard was likely greenlit pre-Modern Warfare, before that ever came out, and at that point, World War II is the best-selling Call of Duty game of the 5 years prior. And that's unfortunately just the pitfall of the 3-year developmental cycle, is that you don't have that foresight of 3 years out into the future, knowing exactly where the dominoes will fall. That's next to impossible to predict all that kind of stuff. So instead of throwing away a project in development after Modern Warfare here, you just kind of have to tough it through, which is also partially why I'm incredibly excited for Modern Warfare 2, that rumored sequel. That's the first game that would have 0 developmental issues and that clear focus on the prize at the end of the tunnel. But again, that's a different story for a different day. But World War II, not quite the people's choice, right? I mean, probably not to the masses. Nothing wrong if it's right up your alley. But what if Call of Duty isn't doubling down on World War II this year? What if the Pacific map isn't World War II? It's not set in the 40s. And that might be kind of a weird thought, given that, well, both iterations of Warzone that we've seen so far follow that thematic representation put forth by their mainline games. With Modern Warfare and Warzone, that took place throughout 2019 and 2020 with that story narrative. And, well, with Verdansk 84, the whole thematic basis was on the 80s and the inclusion of the Cold War and Soviet themes. But who said that we have to go back to World War II outside of the assumption that we would be? I mean, we do know that these weapons we just mentioned are coming, but we've never heard anything definitively outside of that in any other aspects other than a brand new map and an anti-cheat are coming via the Vanguard reveal and Raven's announcement here of that, but no specifics. And in fact, it's actually been long reported that the depth of the integration was still kind of up in the air for Vanguard. Coming all the way back to the beginning of March this year, that was the first time that I saw this here reported as such, but this is before Vanguard was even confirmed and Verdansk 84 even even kicked in, but it was reported by VGC, who have a relatively solid track record, that the game was expected to see the basic level of Warzone integration with things like progression and weapons. But outside of that, it was unclear of what that would mean for an integration. What would come along with it was still up in the air. Citing the challenges of a radical change in setting from a modern to Cold War setting and then back to World War II, it was speculated that Vanguard's integration wouldn't be seeing that tonal shift represented in Warzone outside of just that basic integration. Now, speculation and not via their sources, VGC also speculated by pitching the idea that we might not even see a new Warzone map until 2022, but we do know that that is now false. We do have a map here confirmed by Raven and coming with the integration here at this, Warzone Pacific, but does it have to be World War II? And in fact, do we even have anything that points towards that? Well, truth be told, there really is a lot of pushback one way or the other. You could stand on both sides of the aisle here and make a case for it. But when you take a look at that pre-alpha footage that we saw from the Vanguard reveal, there's really not a whole lot that shows a lot of the sort of build-up or civilization of the map of Warzone Pacific. You see a lot of huts and different things like that, which could be something reminiscent of back in the past, but it also could just be representative of a remote island in the Pacific, where there's not going to be huge city centers or anything like that. You see an old-timey theater, but again, that also could be something that is sort of a relic. One thing that I've seen discussion of is the inclusion of a modern-day forklift. That's something that very well could be a leftover asset that nobody really caught when grabbing this pre-alpha footage to put into the Vanguard reveal, but at the same time, it also might be correct or be there on purpose. And so my theory and my thought now comes down to, well, I think that Warzone Pacific might actually be a modern setting here at this, and continuity, canon-based, it actually makes sense to do it this way rather than go back into the past. Verdansk 84 was kind of weird, and I guess you could chalk it up to in the storyline being a sort of mind game. We saw that Black Ops loves to do that, but that would explain why you had modern weapons within a Cold War era. But if you go all the way back to World War II, where there's no possibility of a mind trip or anything like that, how do you explain weapons from 80 years in the future here with that? Call of Duty is trying very hard to build out a universe here, trying very hard to build out a connected storyline, a canon, something that you can follow from start to finish and everything is connected. And that, for one, I think is awesome, but presents so many challenges, especially when you go back in time by 80 years. So if you put a Warzone map in the present day, you'll have access to, of course, World War II weaponry, Black Ops Cold War weaponry, and Modern Warfare weaponry, all making sense here at this, and all still being believable. Now, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat here at this, and this is one of those conspiracies that I do kind of believe in. I definitely think that the Vanguard weapons will do a little bit better than your Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare weaponry, especially once things get ironed out, push sales a little bit further of Vanguard and things like that. So you might still see World War II weapons are a little bit more powerful than your modern day weaponry in Warzone, which might not make as much sense, but I think for continuity's sake of the Call of Duty universe here at this is going to be a Warzone Pacific map set in present times. And also, this allows us then to potentially, as much as I don't want to say it, it then presents the opportunity to utilize this map a little further, where we had Verdansk and then Verdansk 84 instead of a brand new map for Black Ops Cold War. Now, granted, I think that was more so a byproduct of a Blackout 2.0 being scrapped and therefore kind of making something on the fly. I think that we will get a new map with Modern Warfare 2 in 2022, but if it's a modern setting, it doesn't necessarily mean that the map has to go away. It leaves it open-ended for development, especially if there's a modern game coming up next year. But anyways, that's where I'm at here at this. It was something that I hadn't seen too much discussion on, but it's absolutely been on my mind and the burning question that I have for the upcoming map for Warzone. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think that we'll see Warzone Pacific as a modern day setting as opposed to a World War II or sometime earlier than present day setting? Whatever the case may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone. We still have some stuff with Season 6 and everything like that. And of course, Vanguard coming up very, very soon here. We're getting so close to it, man. I feel like this year breezed by. But if you're interested in any of that, hit that subscribe button. If you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best place to chat with me outside of YouTube. So if you guys want to strike a conversation, ask me a question, whatever the case may be, that link is down there in the description below. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.